minutes are cool.
You ain't got no moon.
But actually, I have one.
I'm watching Claire
Savitz's. Saw the bread.
Savitz.
Which has risen nicely. I'm
Dessert
glad
person.
I decided to put my oven on 350 during lunch. Because now this is pretty much ready. So it's domed and it's rising above the top. This is ready to bake. I'm going to bake it until it has an internal temperature around 190 on the center rack. I think that'll take like 30 to 40 maybe. All right, back to the peanut butter though. I'm going to just scrape everything down. There are very few things other than a recreates episode that would get me to dirty both the blender and the food processor at the same time. It's my nightmare. This is ready for the blender. Actually, what's your problem? See, like the two colors, the layer that I just added is darker than before because I toasted them basically. It did combine. It does look really smooth. I'll tell you, this thing works really well. Look at how smooth it looks. Okay, a little taste.
Insufficient.
It's not noticeably sweet. I think the honey just helps to like round off any sharp edges of the flavor. Not salty, but well seasoned. Whoa, it looks so good. I got so domed. So I'm looking for an internal temp of 190. No, more time. Maybe another, I'll leave it in for another like 7 or 8 minutes. I want it to be Concord grape jelly, but we don't have any Concord grapes because it's too early. And the window's really short. It's like a 2 weeks in October kind of thing. The good news is there's Concord grape juice, which is what I have here. I thought about this technique that I'm familiar with from this jam maker based in France. Her name is Christine Ferber. And she has a technique where you make a kind of pectin stock out of green apples. Their skins and seeds have a lot of pectin. I didn't get a ton of apples because I don't need a huge volume of jelly. What's great about it is like you just cut up the apples. You don't want to peel them or anything because you want the peel. The peel is the whole point. So big chunks are fine. I'm gonna make the green apple jelly, but instead of water, I'm gonna use the grape juice. Just wanna make sure the apples are covered. And then I'm gonna simmer these on the stove for about 30 minutes. And that should be enough time to extract all the pectin from the fruit, and then the whole thing gets strained.
Trying to make them look big.
Because I had to make sure the apples stayed submerged, I put a little piece of parchment, so it's called a cartouche. That's more when it's like in a circle. And then a weight, just to make sure everything stayed beneath the surface. And so it's been 30 minutes, and this should be done. So they've given off all their color, and they theoretically should have given off all their pectin as well. So now I want to strain this. The flavor of the grape juice is like way stronger than the flavor of the apple. So it's not like you're gonna be like, oh, it's apple and grape jelly. It's just gonna taste like grape jelly. That's the idea. I could use cheesecloth, but it's a pretty fine mesh. If I use cheesecloth, there's a better chance of it being clear. So we should get some. Hold on. I'm trying to take shortcuts here. No shortcuts. Also, how hard is that? Not very hard.
I don't know how to draw man boobs. I don't know how to draw man titty.
I'm really bad at pouring stuff sometimes. So I'm going to use this same saucepan to cook down the jelly. I'm going to give it a quick rinse. I can definitely see the liquid has like a viscosity to it. It's thicker, and that's pectin. So I'm going to pour this back in here. It smells really good. I'm going to let the strainer continue to strain over this bowl.
I'm a nasty
but in the
dog.
meantime, I'm going to get some lemon juice in here and some sugar. And then this is going to become the jelly. The good thing about jelly is like, you just cook it down until it sets. So there's sort of like, you can kind of get to the end point you need no matter what. Ooh, let's hope I can get 2 tablespoons from this half. I'm going to use my citrus reamer. Just about. I'll add.
Little does she know. Hi.
I want all that pectin. The pectin needs the sugar and the acid to set. This is going to go back over the heat. I'm going to boil it pretty rapidly. So there's a way to determine
little does she know I'm a nasty
dog. It's called the wrinkle test or the frozen plate test or whatever. You put like a small ceramic plate or glass plate in the freezer. And when you think the jam is close, you dab a little bit onto the plate and it immediately spreads out because it's so hot. But then it starts to set. It should set really quickly. I'll give it a few seconds. And when you drag your finger through it, the jam wrinkles. Like it forms a little skin on top and it wrinkles, and that's when you know it's done. See how it fills in the line and it didn't wrinkle? This needs to cook more. If it is very runny and it doesn't wrinkle, it's undercooked. And if it like sets immediately and balls up, then it's overcooked. So I am gonna cook it to 220. I would say after 15 minutes, at least, a very vigorous boiling, because it really had to reduce. It probably reduced by half. I'm gonna test it again on the plate and see. Yeah, see the wrinkles? I've been skimming the foam as it cooked. Taking the foam off is important because that is what's going to give you a translucent jelly. I have some glass containers. I'll pour it into some glass containers in a thin layer. I'll do the rest into jars. So I usually save jam jars for this exact reason. Now these aren't sterilized, and I'm not going to can them.
His neck looks weird.
That these should get refrigerated. All right, I don't need a second one. I'll just put it in there. I am going to let this foam sit in the fridge to hurry that along. And then once that's set, I'm going to move into assembly. And most importantly, I'm going to cross off grape jelly from the list.
Where's my eraser? I gotta redo this.
Perfect, okay.
So
The neck was too long.
It's basically cool. There's a little bit of warmth coming off of it, but I let it cool in the pan. Just gonna lift it out. Beautiful profile on the loaf. Very happy about that. Not that it matters. The crumb looks great. It's really uniform. You can actually a little bit see that it goes in a spiral because of how we formed it, but like you don't see, there's no separation or anything. Like it's all one nice slice. So I'm looking for a slice that's around like 3/4 of a centimeter. God, that's really thin. It's gonna be hard to slice by hand. Smells good. This is a raviolo stamp. Like raviolo is a dish. You make one giant. I would say ravioli, but raviolo is a singular. So one big raviolo. I don't think that this cuts at the same time. I think it just crimps. So I think I'll need another cutter that's a little bit bigger than that one. That's a good size. Without like a machine to cut the slices, it's gonna be hard to kind of get them all super thin and uniform. I don't want to press all the way down to the cutting board. What I might try to do is cut it out first. Maybe it's not fitting around it. Hold on. I gotta back up. Is it the wrong one? You're right. Thanks, Cal. It might be too big. Oh, I just realized how this stamp works. It makes it scalloped or like zigzag. So you do press all the way down. This is helpful, but I might actually have to go in and hand crimp beyond the impression that the stamp makes, because I don't want it to have a scalloped edge. I just need it to be crimped. I would argue that the Uncrustable is smooth, but it has these different indentations that are on the surface, not the edge. Does that make sense? But one thing I can do is I can use the upside down cutter to really compress it, and then one thing I want to be mindful of is that I now have a flat side and a domed side rather than like a flying saucer shape, and they're kind of like equally domed. I might have to make like a mold for it. I'm thinking. I think I have to make a mold for it, which basically has like a little basin to cradle the bottom piece of bread, so that when I crimp, the bottom doesn't get flat. Also, I haven't even tasted the bread yet. I want to taste the bread. I'm kind of just banking on the fact that it looks right. Very soft, pretty neutral flavor. This will work. This is an idea Cal had. We have a meat slicer. Sometimes a bread knife in like a delicate loaf like this, it's really soft, tears up the surface a little bit, and I think the slicer would make really clean slices. We haven't taken it out since we put it on that cart because I hate cleaning it. I'll give it a little vinegar spray.
Yeah, cleaning bread slicers does suck. You gotta use the air hose.
I never really use it. I know how. I hope. It's like a home one, but obviously this is like what you see in your deli. So the bread is gonna go here.
Doesn't look right.
And well, really the bread's gonna go here. I want it to be pretty thin. So I have it at like between 0.7 and 0.8 centimeters. So let's do one and hope that it works. It's not made for a lefty, by the way. Once it gets to the edge, it doesn't want to cut through that like second side of crust. Not that I necessarily need it to, also because I don't need the crust. See how nice that side is? Then this is the second side that it goes through, where it's thinner. I'm gonna try, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Let's try slicing it that way. It's, what was it on the package?
Unbeatably soft.
Unbeatably soft. It feels unbeatably soft. All I need is like the center 9 centimeters to be pretty even. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna go with it. So I have my cutters here. This one is gonna cut the outside. This is my guide for the kind of circumference of the peanut butter. So I'm gonna start by cutting.
Thanks for the compliments. I'm not really acknowledging the stream right now, but thanks.
That's perfect.
Once I remove the crust, the thickness looks really good. Like it looks more even than I thought it was gonna be. Oh, very loose. The loose might be to my advantage when I'm trying to spread it though. I think the jelly looks great. Question is, am I gonna be able to spread it without getting it to mix into the peanut butter? Here's what I'm thinking. This is so much. What was I thinking? It's not really what I thought I was envisioning. Even though the bread is very soft, I might need to add a little moisture to get it to like be a little gummy.
All right,
and
I'm
stick
done.
to itself. Use a little spray bottle. This is annoying. Or
Can I spell Wolverine?
maybe.
I think so. That looks correct, I guess. Bye.